Hello, my name is Anna Hendricks and I teach at Start Elementary.
I'm passionate about many things regarding education. However, I'm especially passionate about knowing the why behind a Tier 1 curriculum. I feel like it's very important for the teachers, parents, and particularly our students to understand why we use a Tier 1 curriculum. Today you're going to be seeing a lesson from the 5th grade Louisiana Guidebooks. The unit is the Birchbark House. We've been reading the Birchbark House, which is about a young girl living in the Ajobi tribe during the 1800s. We've also been building our knowledge in social studies and in ELA on the positive and negative effects, which we're going to see that today,
Of the Columbian Exchange and what happens when cultures collide.
My objectives for my students today is to analyze the main character's actions in this chapter and describe her growth. I want to see this in their writing, and I especially want to hear them discuss this as a class. Today's lesson is very important because our culminating writing task is built off of this lesson, which is to analyze the main character by describing her growth through each season and how she gains strength to understand and accept her past. I have a very diverse class, which I love. 45% of my students are Black, 55% of my students are white. I have high Lexile readers, low Lexile readers, kids who come from wealthy families, kids who are living in poverty. I have 2 special ed students and 1 gifted student. I'm excited about this lesson because it has quite a bit of discussion opportunities, which is why I seat my students in groups. 2 high Lexile readers with 2 low Lexile readers. This is to encourage conversation. So welcome to my classroom.
We're on page 140. Our end goal today, does anybody want to read it?
Me.
Here, Carson with the C.
Analyze Alma's actions to describe the growth in her character.
Good. Let's talk about that for a second. The growth in her character. We've been talking about that every chapter because we're building up to the culminating writing task, which is where you're going to talk about the growth of her character and how much she's changed, okay? So that's very important. Thinking back, Alma class could even... What happened to the guy?
He died.
The visitor died, right. Inside the house, supplied with firewood and water, Mama and Angeline battled the invisible enemy. Who's the enemy? Who can tell me? Who is the enemy? Emma? Smallpox, right. Who wants to read this first line that tells what smallpox is? Alexis?
What is smallpox? A deadly viral infection that once killed millions of people every year.
Symptoms. What are some symptoms? Lily?
Fever, flu-like symptoms, and distinctive skin
Lesions?
lesions.
If you don't know what lesions are, that's okay. Can it be eradicated? Who wants to read that? Carson?
Can it be eradicated? Yes, a massive global vaccination program put an end to the disease in 1977.
Eradicated. Talk with your group about what you think that word means. That's a big long word.
Like,
Go.
say you were sick, it would mean like something that could get you better, like a shot. If you had like a shot of something, or some medicine.
I think it means that gets rid of it for cure it for some time and then it could maybe come back later.
Come to me in 3, 2, 1. Did y'all figure it out by reading that? Because I know a lot of y'all. Teddy, what'd you think? No? Alexis, what'd you think?
I think it means like they stopped the disease.
Okay, what in there lets you know that they stopped it? What phrase in there tells you that smallpox was stopped? Lyric?
It says vaccination program put an end to this disease in 1977.
Okay, so vaccination. Did y'all already know what vaccination meant? And then put an end to. I want to show you guys. And the thing about these is that they're very itchy too. They itch and they hurt and you have fever. You have flu-like symptoms. And sores. When he died, she held him close. she didn't know exactly when his life went. Do you want to talk about that? I know. How many of you kind of feel a lump in your throat right now? Any comments before we move on?
Yes.
Malaya?
He didn't die.
You don't have anything? Is everybody just kind of shocked?
Yeah.
I know, I'm sorry, Emma.
Hayden.
You're not the only one that's cried, I know.
Hayden.
We love Nero because Machias loved Nero, right? And the author made us feel that way. That's when you know you have a good author, when they can pull that out of you. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about Machias and her whole end goal, which was to analyze Machias' actions to describe the growth in her character. Has she grown up quite a bit?
Yes.
She has? I want you to go to your reading log. We're going to pause right here. I'm going to give you just a moment. So you're going to have it by yourself. You can be a little emotional. I want you guys to write about in your reading log, how is she showing growth here? Okay? How is she showing growth? Think about it at the beginning of the book. And now in this chapter. Make sure that you cite evidence. How much time do you think you guys need to do this?
10.
I'm not giving you 10. How about 5?
Yeah.
Let's pause right now, because some of you may need to go back and fix some stuff. I need one sentence. How does she grow? How does she show growth? What does she do that shows growth? How was she at the beginning? How would you have described her? Emma?
Not helpful.
Not helpful.
Well, what? I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't really say that because even though she didn't want to, in the beginning, she didn't really want to use the brain to scrub the things. She actually did help her mother.
Yeah. True.
She
So-
just wanted to do a different job. She just didn't like the job.
Okay.
Disobedient.
Lily?
I would say disobedient.
Where was she disobedient, do you think?
When she was supposed to be doing the moose hide, but she decided to go get the scissors instead.
Okay. I thought she had permission to go do that.
she had permission. Yeah, she had to
get the
go
scissors.
Yeah.
permission because she said
She was told.
Mama
I see where
said
she's coming from.
She
Like,
was
she
told.
didn't want to do the moose hiding. Even if they would have told her, she probably would have hesitated at first and like
Ran away.
It was a good
Like-
excuse,
Yeah, but she
right?
still did the
Why
moose
don't
hide
you
though.
go get the scissors?
She
first?
ran away.
She still did it though.
Yeah. But as someone pointed out, who was it that said she didn't do things willingly? That was you. Who
Right.
said she wasn't doing things willingly. Carson.
I want to go with on what Lily said. She said that she was misbehaved.
Okay.
Because at first she was hiding because she didn't want to do the moose hide, but then her mama asked, but Angeline scared her, so she got out of hiding. And
How do
then
y'all remember that? I completely forgot about that part. Yeah.
Angeline stepped on her back.
Yes.
Little frog.
and then Mama said something about her needing her scissors, so Omakai said that she would go get them.
Perfect. Excellent. Did you add that in there?
No,
You need to add all that. So before, it's kind of like she would hide from work. I completely forgot about that. You were kind of leading up to it, Lily. Did you remember all that right there that she just said? I did not.
I remember.
And now, she's more willing, right? Excellent. This chapter was really kind of depressing. Would y'all agree with that?
Yes, but it's not even over yet.
I know. Did you read ahead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
After Looking at student work, about 80% of my students met the objective. They had excellent evidence to support their thinking. However, keep in mind that many students fix their work after that discussion that you saw in the video. A trend that I noticed that came out in discussion was that students struggle with using precise language. In their description of
Omakaya's growth, they kept saying she obeyed, she was emotional, she worked hard, and she was, but she was also all of those things at the very beginning of the novel.
I was looking for them to say selfless, she was protective, she was caring, and I feel like they did get there after me really questioning their thinking during the class discussion.
After watching the video, I noticed that there are a couple of students that I never even called on during the discussion. Those are the students that didn't meet the objectives. I think I've probably been doing this for a while, so that was good for me to see, because I need to be aware of those students and I need to have very high expectations and make them accountable. I've already annotated this in my lesson plans that I'm going to begin calling on them first and looking at their writing first. That way I don't forget, because they're just very quiet students. This is going to make them accountable. I do like that I had them write before sharing out, because I wanted to see what they could do by themselves. In hindsight, I wish I would have first had them describe Omakaya's character at the beginning of the book. We could have done that as a class discussion. They could have done it in a group and then shared out as a class discussion, quick and easy.
Then I think this would have made their language more precise when they were writing about Omakaya's and how she grew
in this chapter. After the video, we did go on and finish the chapter, even though that's not supposed to be until the next lesson. But they were just so shell-shocked over Tin Snow and Neodon. I actually had 3 that were crying or trying not to cry. So I felt like they needed closure of the funerals that came with that chapter, that they still needed to kind of talk that through. Tomorrow we will list all the challenges in that chapter, along with how smallpox changed the village. We'll also begin lesson 24, which is building our knowledge on the effects of smallpox. I'm glad you got to see the action in my class. I feel like that was a great lesson.